All right, guys, so it's JC again down here at Liberty Cycle. Down here looking at a 2019 850 Sportsman SP. This is a brand new model for 2019. So the differences between this and the regular 850 is it has the alloy wheels, which are a little bit better than the steel stamped wheels. It has the white color, which you can only get in this SP. It has the power steering and the downhill 4x4 brake assist. Another thing I noticed about this thing is if you look at the seat on it, look how narrow it is up front, and it kind of like hugs you down inside the inside of the four-wheeler. So if you look, it has like a bucket around the rear, and it kind of like hugs you down inside of it, which is a really cool seating position, which is kind of unique. And so very awesome machine. I rode it around here a little bit, got onto it a little bit, pretty good bit of power. One thing I like about this new design Sportsman 850 is they have the dual A-arms in the front where you can actually adjust the suspension instead of the McPherson struts like Polaris has had for the longest time. And it has the arched lower A-arm. So if you look at it, they're arched on both sides. So which is pretty cool. Polaris hasn't been doing that for too long, so that helps add ground clearance, and which is pretty nice. 78 horsepower on this bad boy. It weighs 771 pounds. Has a towing capacity of 1,500 pounds. The rear rack capacity is 270 pounds, and the front rack capacity is 120 pounds. Now, I've told you guys before, if anybody's been watching my channel, that I love storage on a four-wheeler, which is always nice. Polaris has got that down to a T. So it has the big storage compartment here in the front. And I'll show you guys. You can actually lift that up. So you got a storage compartment here in the front. So you can hold your chains or whatever you want to put in there, you know, gloves, glasses, whatever, you know, extra bottles of water, whatever you want to put in there. And another thing cool that I recently learned about these is, so if you ever get this dirty, you can twist these two locks on here. I'll show you. Here's another one. And you can actually pop this whole thing out and clean it. So that way you can get to all your battery and your radiator fill and your overflow for your radiator. And then there's your fuses right there too. So that's a pretty cool feature. So it helps you get to everything. Plus, it helps you clean this thing out if you ever get any mud and stuff in there. So you can just lock it back down. It stays in place, which is pretty cool. I like that feature. Another thing is you got another storage thing in the back. So you can fit another, you know, thing of ice in there if you want. Put some waters or drinks in there, and there's actually a little drain port in the bottom so you can drain anything out that gets caught in there, which is pretty cool. Polaris does come with some tools. It does have a spanner wrench for adjusting your suspension, because you can adjust the rear and the front now on these. These have LED tail lights, which is really nice. I like that. It's a really nice looking feature, real sleek, real mean looking. And got a 1/4-inch receiver, 1.25 inch. Nice little tow bar back there if you can hook on anything. Once again, like I said, these things can haul 1,500 pounds, so it says. 550 pound capacity as far as riding on it. So another thing that I liked about these, and we'll get to my Yamaha, I actually got it down here, and we're going to be doing a side-by-side comparison. Unfortunately, yeah, I know everyone's saying 850, that's kind of big compared to a 700, but this is the biggest engine and power that Yamaha puts out on a four-wheeler. So you can't really compare that to a 450 or a 570. The 700 is actually way more powerful, I feel. So another cool thing I like about these is they still have a parking brake. I'll actually get on it and show you. So you have park, as opposed to Yamaha. It only has a park, it does not have a parking brake. There's still a parking brake with Polaris's single lever braking system. You can actually pop that parking brake on along with the parking system, or the transmission. Polaris variable transmission, they call it. Another cool thing I like about this, as opposed to the Yamaha, and I'm not bashing my Yamaha, I love it to death. There's things I like about it compared to this, so we're going to go over that as well. I like that this has everything right here in front of you instead of down here on the fender. I feel this is a little bit more protected. I mean, mud and everything else can get down here easier than it will up here, and everything's right here in front of you. So another cool thing that they started doing is they put a cup holder and a little phone holder right here, so you can actually put your phone or cup in there. They moved the gas tank down to the side. That helps with ergonomics and as far as top heaviness or whatever. So you got your charger right here in front of you, right, easily accessible. You got your start key. So when that comes on, unlike the Yamaha, you have a start button, so you have to turn the key on. Then you can have a start button up here, a little green button that you can start on. Polaris, all you do is turn the key. That's all you do. Got your fuel gauge in there. Fuel gauge, got your tripometers, A and B, got your clock, got your voltmeter, it's got your RPMs. You can change what drive mode you're in on here. So that's pretty cool. What else? Yeah, so I already talked about seat height. It's got the 4x4 downhill assist. It helps you braking system, helps you slip down the hill and helps you slow down. One thing I did notice about this thing is the EBS on it, or the engine braking system, or transmission braking system, is very, very pronounced on this thing. Like whenever you let off the gas, the front end wants to dive down on it to slow it down, which is it's a little weird to get used to, but I understand what it's doing. A little bit awkward, not too bad. And as always, Polaris has their true all-wheel drive system. And one thing I've always thought was kind of interesting about it, or a little different, is you have to, the way it works is if your front wheels slip, your front wheels will engage all the time perfectly. Both front wheels, no diff lock needed, which some people were like, well, you have to lose traction to get traction. But I know that's kind of like, wow, that's kind of weird. You got to lose traction to get traction, but I've never noticed it to not work well, so I've always liked it. Never had any problems with it. Another thing too about this is it has 2 front hydraulic disc brakes and a single disc brake in the rear. Good braking power. It's got vented, drilled and slotted rotors on it, so it's going to cool down pretty good. These only have a foot brake for just the rear. It don't work for the front, unlike the Yamaha. It's got the front and rear levers up here and a foot lever on the bottom. So yeah, so this is a 2019 Polaris Sportsman 850 SP, and it does have the EPS on it, which is really, really nice, and I'll show you guys how well that works. It actually seems a whole lot smoother than Yamaha's design, and I'll show you right quick. Gotta sit on it to start it. So I'll show you guys. I mean, you can turn this thing like with one finger. I mean it's really easy, even with the engine off. I mean, look at that. Always nice and smooth, and it works well off-road too. I know people made the comment, well, yeah, it works great on a smooth surface, but how does it work on, off-road or whatever? I mean, I pulled it over into a ditch over there, and I turned the wheel, and it was just as smooth. So works really, really great. I actually like that feature on this model. So, but yeah. So next thing we'll be doing is we're going to go over the Yamaha compared to the Polaris Sportsman. So this is the 2019 Yamaha Kodiak. I went over it before. So I'll go over some things I like about it compared to the Polaris. I actually like having a front and rear lever for brakes, which this one has, front and rear. So I actually like that. Another thing too that I think is great about these is they actually have a gated shifter on the left-hand side of where the gas tank would be. So you got your left hand to shift, your right hand to drive with. So now, one thing that's really cool about Polaris is, yes, it has the true four-wheel drive all the time. With the rear slips, the front wheels kick in. Now, with Yamaha, you have the ability to lock in a differential. So you can actually click in the red here, swap over, lock all 4 wheels in, and that'll allow you to drive with all 4 wheels locked in with no limited slip. Which is nice because you don't always need all 4 wheels digging in all the time. Now, one thing that I really like about the Polaris as opposed to the Yamaha is storage. So the Polaris has a lot of storage. You got the big front here, you got the little cup holder, you got the storage trunk in the rear. All you get with the Yamaha is this little trunk right here in the front, which is pretty convenient where it's located. It's not a bad storage system, but that's all you get. So you don't have any storage in the rear. So that is different. This does have independent suspension, dual A-arms in the front, adjustable shocks, dual A-arms in the front, adjustable shocks. This has a actual 2-inch receiver in the rear, and like I was showing you about the Polaris, it actually only has an 1.25 inch receiver in the rear, which is not a bad design. I actually like it because you can actually still pull like a lawnmower trailer or whatever, because you can put the pin through there, which is nice. I think you can do the same with the Yamaha, but it is a 2-inch receiver instead of a 1.25 inch, which is cool because most people have on like a regular pickup truck, you'll have a 2-inch receiver. Some smaller vehicles have an 1.25 inch or whatever, but which is nice. As I was telling you before, the ignition's down here on the actual fender, where you got the 12-volt accessory outlet and you got your starter key. So you just turn that on to start, then you have to mash the actual green button up here to start it. Polaris, like I was showing you, you just turn the key, boom, 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 starts right up. Like I was saying, this is the biggest engine and most power that Yamaha puts out, so they're a little bit behind on the power curve. So if you're looking for power and I mean just haul assing, the 850 Sportsman, and they even have a 1000 edition of that, they're class leading with the power leading. I mean, you know, pretty durable machines as well. So if you see, another thing too is no metal front bumper, no metal racks, all plastic, which Polaris plastic are pretty great. They got their interlocking system that locks onto these. So with Yamaha, you get all metal racks. You got a metal front bumper with a wrinkle finish on it, which I personally like that better than all plastic. So, which is pretty nice. Ground clearance on the two, as you can see, the Polaris is beating it a little bit. Not too much, but it does have a little bit better ground clearance, especially right there at the A-arms. The overall wheelbase is a whole lot bigger. When Yamaha designed this, they designed it to be a little bit more compact. So power to weight ratio, the 700 is relatively quick. All right, it weighs 640 something pounds, and this right here weighs 771 pounds. So yeah, it has 150 more cc's, but look how much smaller it looks compared to the Polaris. So a little bit more maneuverability there. Another thing too, as far as Yamaha's build quality, is if you look here, I know it's stupid, but it's little things that mean a lot. These are actual bolts with a nut on the back. No plastic caps holding on the plastic. You got a bolt there, you know, holding on the racks. These right here are actually rated to hold, let's see here, what does it say on the back? 300 pounds, like on the rear of this. I think this is rated at 270. So that's pretty stout. I mean, you know, for these big solid tubing racks. So like I was saying, you see how these just has a lot of plastic little push caps, which that's not a bad design. It's just those things wear out over time if you have to take these apart or if they break. But an actual bolt with a nut, that looks a whole lot more sturdy. You know, a little bit, you know, less stuff to tear, because when you're trying to take these things off with a screwdriver, I mean, they're plastic and you're using a screwdriver to try to get them off, or a pick or whatever, you're gouging them, making them look like shit. So, but these right here, I mean, yeah, this is a little thing, but it means a lot. I like it. Pretty easy area to check your oil, stuff like that. So I like it. Now, another thing that some people may, yeah, well, this has better stopping power, but you're going to replace this. It has rear disc brakes that are exposed to the element. It's going to, you know, get sand and mud and grit and all that type of stuff in it, which, I mean, that's what we ride these things for. We go in the mud and stuff like that. So you'll notice, you got your steel braided cable right there that goes to your brakes, single disc in the rear. Now, the Yamaha and Kawasaki does it well in their brute force. It's a sealed clutch tight plates in the rear end. So there's no brakes to replace in the rear. And Yamaha says that it'll last the life of the vehicle, which is pretty sweet. I like that. It's not the best stopping power, but at the same time, it has I mean, unlimited lifetime on this vehicle. Pretty much, it's going to stop you. It's not going to be the best, but it does stop you pretty well, and you're not ever going to have to replace it. So to me, that's selling you value right there. Tires are pretty aggressive on this. The ground clearance isn't quite as good as what the 850 is, and also this is a twin cylinder, not a single cylinder, so big difference there. But yeah, so there's a quick rundown. The 2019 Yamaha Kodiak. They also have a Grizzly, but it has the same engine. Other than that, it has a little bit more storage on it, but for the most part, it's pretty much the same. They have a few different things on them as far as lighting and stuff like that, and paint package, but as far as engine and what's at the heart, it's pretty much the exact same. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.